Welcome to WION World of Cricket. I am Isha Hanspal. South Africa won by 229 runs against England. England perhaps have posted their worst ODI defeats with the highest margin ever. Well, Dav Watmore with me here in the studios as always. Dav, should I just simply begin by asking what happened there?
What a one-sided affair it turned out to be. It really was one-way traffic, wasn't it? You know, I was totally wrong. I honestly thought that the England team might put a bit of pressure on and take it deep. I didn't think they could win it, but not to lose it in this fashion. That's their worst defeat in the history. So that's not a good thing. But certainly, the conditions a little bit harder to bat under lights. I know that it's a chasing ground in IPL. But that's a little bit later, I guess, and it was a little bit difficult. But, you know, when you commence your chase, knowing you have to get 8 and over right from the start, it sort of plays on your mind a bit, and there is a need to, you know, to accelerate as early as possible. But it's unfortunate. 1 wicket led to 2, 2 wickets led to 3, and all of a sudden it was just a procession. And clearly, you know, South Africa had bounced back from that embarrassing defeat themselves against Netherlands, and they did it in absolute style.
Yeah. I wasn't there for the mid-innings show today, Dav, but did you think that this is what it is going to be? Did you really expect England to not chase that rather mammoth total that South Africa had posted?
I didn't think they'd capitulate like they did, to be honest with you. I knew it was going to be a difficult chase, and you know, the South African bowlers are very good, but not like this, you know. And full marks to, you know, South Africa and Hendrik Klaassen. Brilliant innings, because it really was energy sapping, you know, out there in that first half.
Yeah.
So, you know, these guys who endured, had batted for a long time. You got to have a decent level of fitness to, you know, to withstand that terrible heat and humidity, and you know, get to a point where you score 100, and he was almost collapsing, you know. But it was good. It was very good for them to bounce back after a nasty defeat.
South Africa have won the matches in which they have batted first. Now, if we can gauge this piece of statistics, should you then say that England that won the toss, was it a good call for them to bowl first? Oh,
geez, on hindsight, if you got Josh Butler again now and say, what do you reckon, son? Would you want to do it all over again? I'm sure he'd say no. We'll have a bat first. So yes, with the benefit of hindsight, surely, you know. But you know, they came across some good batters. For the first 5 overs or so, it was a good effort. You know, they kept the South African batters down. They got a wicket. The danger man, Quinton de Kock. But then slowly but surely, you know, the run rate went up. So yeah, I guess looking back. You know, I'd love to know how many times, I'll find out tonight, how many times captains won the toss, lost the game. How many captains lose the toss and win the game?
That's an interesting one.
Yeah, we'll have a look, and I'll give that to you tomorrow.
The trend has been to field first in the tournament so far.
Yeah, a couple have batted.
We discussed, a couple have batted. Yeah. We've obviously discussed the new factor coming in, the weather changing. The country is going through a bit of change, a shift in the weather conditions. Do you see this trend changing, maybe perhaps after 2 weeks?
I'll tell you, unless you can guarantee the dew will come early, I can see it changing, because now teams are getting good scores batting first and bowling the opposition out. So, you know, the one last night at Chinnaswamy, very good pitch, and it was a little closer than what Australia would like, but still it was an interesting game for the most part. And they were chasing, but Australia won the toss and batted. No, they lost the toss, and they were asked to bat. So there you go again, right?
Yep. We'll get into the hair-splitting that match in just a bit, but before that, would you say that what just happened towards the end? We suddenly saw Mark Wood and Atkinson firing up, and we've seen that trend in the last couple of matches, haven't we? You know, just when we think it's the end of light for the team, and suddenly we see some glimmer of hope, some sparks of genius showing up. Did you, however, for a second think that the margin of defeat could be considerably reduced, or it would have just been a few hot flashes and then eventually
what happens in that situation? Sometimes,
you just go
I wouldn't
for
say
it.
most times, the last couple of guys will just go for it because nothing to lose.
Yeah.
The team that's bowling have already won the game, so they relax a little bit, and then bang, 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 you see some really entertaining hits until you get to a point where the chancing of your arm fails, and then you're out and the whole team's out. So I've seen it happen a number of times. But they didn't even put a respectability on it. It just highlighted how bad the top order fared today.
There wasn't really too much thought, you say, gone into trying to save that run rate.
No, sadly the top order, they really should have a look at that. They've got a lot of soul searching to do, Now they're going to have to really... It's not easy for them now, Every time you pick up a paper, you put the TV on, you get your friends talk to you, they will always refer to the situation that it is difficult.
Absolutely. Dad, these are the defending champions we are talking about, and it's not just today's match. Probably today's match is a bit more of an eyesore for Team England, but their entire run in the tournament so far hasn't really been impressive. It's not how you see title holders play.
No.
Where do you think is the problem? We perhaps saw a bit of change in strategy by way of changing the lineup a little bit in Team England today. We saw 3 new guys play in. Just to kind of reiterate, we had Ben Stokes, who was much awaited instead of Livingston.
Willie came in.
Yes. Gus Atkinson instead of Sam Curran or Chris Wokes. And, of course, David Willey instead of either of the two.
Yeah.
Moeen Ali has been made to sit out for the last couple of games. I will come to him in just a bit. But would you say this considerable amount of change in the lineup, was it a good idea? What is it stemming from? Has it worked out for them?
Well, when you do make changes, you do it with with the best of intentions and good faith that the team you've picked is the team that you feel strongly will win you the game. And sometimes it comes off, and sometimes clearly it didn't today. 3 seems a little excessive, when you want to back your players, but there comes a time when you feel quite strongly that if we get these people in, that'll make it stronger. Stokes, fair enough, everyone would have expected that to happen. And the other 2 weren't really in the best of form either, Wokes and Curran.
Yeah.
So it's sort of justified, but, to have 3 at once coming in and playing a 50-over game under the extreme heat, they haven't been used to that. That may have taken a toll, probably did on some of them. And then you've got a little injury with Topley with his bowling finger. Very difficult for him to come and finish his quota of overs well. And really they didn't have a 6th optional bowler. Joe Root had to bowl, I think, six overs, and he did it okay. But they were always struggling, I guess, when the South African batsmen were showing, when they're putting the foot down, it is a horrible place to be.
Sure, we spoke about this right before the show when we discussed this pitch isn't perhaps for spinners, but I would want to understand, would you still have cast your vote for Moeen Ali? He's been made. Do you think he should have been given a little more chance in the tournament? Perhaps, Topley, he did take those 3 wickets, but he was very expensive. Moeen Ali, on the other hand, knows the conditions in India, experienced players. Would you have brought him in?
Yeah, look, he might play from now on, though. Look, I think there's a case. There's a case for Moeen Ali to play. He is experienced, yes. He does both batting and bowling as well. He was omitted from the team after the first match, where they were beaten badly by New Zealand, when they played in Dharamshala.
Yeah.
And all the judges were saying, no, this one's a pace bowling pitch, which it was, and Topley came in, he got his 5 wickets, and then, they won easily against Bangladesh. So from there on, they thought, well, this is more or less the combination, you know. And for Moeen Ali, sadly, he was warming the bench a little bit. But now I think the situation's got to the point where maybe a bit of experience might help. And I think, Isha, you probably got a point there. Yep.
Okay, as someone who's been a coach for various teams, what do you think Team England were trying to do with this shake-up? What do you think was the strategy that they had in mind? Pulling those three guys out, putting these, two bowlers and one Ben Stokes, who is in the capacity of a batsman in the team right now.
Well, we agree with Stokes, right?
Yeah,
we all agree. I think
Stokes,
everybody would agree with Stokes.
Everybody would agree.
Yeah, the other
what
two.
What were they trying to do exactly?
The other two were omitted because of their form.
Yeah.
So then it comes down to trying to understand now the ones taking their place. Are they going to perform better? And clearly the answer from the selectors in the England camp would have been yes. You know, they probably couldn't go any worse.
Perhaps the time to think that an all-rounder is needed in the side?
Well, Atkinson can bat too, right? He can really bat.
Yeah, he did.
You're suggesting maybe Moeen Ali is an all-rounder. Okay, yeah, and another spinner.
Yeah.
That would have been a bold move on that one caddy pitch. But as it turned out, Adil Rashid was their best bowler, and he's a leg spinner. And he wasn't feeling 100% either today. You know, he spent some time off the ground, and I think he had a bit of a fever. Wasn't feeling too good, but he really, pulled out all stops and performed.
So if we do agree that it was the batting that failed today for Team India, more than the South African bowlers really outperforming them, how do you see them strengthen it? Who really needs to fire? Or do you think it was definitely a combined effort?
Yeah,
it was the South African bowlers as well.
Yeah.
Also, England conceded too many runs. Would you say that?
Well, yeah,
did,
that's what I mean.
So, what is primarily wrong with that squad over there?
It's just not happening, is it, this year, this time around for England? They just cannot seem to get into the game.
So they concede runs, bowling needs work, they're not able to put up the total.
Yeah, they're losing wickets.
Also,
There was a graphic earlier on that, the amount of wickets the England bowlers have taken is very, very few compared to the others. So that's not helping, You've got to take wickets. If you don't take wickets in limited overs cricket, you're going to get hit.
Yeah.
So that's a given, and if you're not doing that, they are chasing their tail a bit. Their batsmen also are not responding.
Yeah.
Only one game, and that was against Bangladesh at Dharamshala. It's turning out to be a bit of a horror story for them for this series. We know they're good players, but and today they just look so jaded. They just look tired. They look like absolutely, wrung out with any energy because of the heat. I can tell you the guys batting, they would be even more tired, so they really put up a good show to get all those runs, particularly Klaasen. And right at the end with Marco Jansen for that cameo, 70 runs, his highest score. But it's just not happening, Isha, for the England team, and it's probably they're probably not going to make it now.
Okay. Before we look at the road ahead, very quickly, had England batted first, would the results have been different?
Certainly the pitch behaved differently.
Maybe the embarrassment of the loss would not have been so intensive. Should they have lost still? Or do you think there was a high chance for them to win today's fixture?
Well, with the benefit of hindsight, definitely they would have scored more runs than this. Whether that would have been enough for a supercharged South African team that was hurting from their previous loss. Is up for speculation. It's all subjective. But one thing for sure, I'm pretty sure that they would have scored a lot more runs batting first than they were chasing under lights. A big score too, by the way.
Yeah. Well, South Africans do not show any signs of being chokers up until now, at least. Saving that one little game with Netherlands, they definitely have bounced back from that one. If you can just take a look at the points table and just to understand where the teams stand as of now. I think they're all 4 games down now, 5 each for all the teams. If you can just pull up the points table, then
And everyone's
New
won a
Zealand.
game now.
Yeah,
With Sri Lanka
yeah.
winning today, everyone's won a game.
Yeah.
And now it's a chase. It's a chase on to see, who can get into that fourth spot and maybe even the third spot, depending on how South Africa go. But I think the top two are pretty right, aren't they? I think most of us would agree, regardless of who wins tomorrow, and if one plays two, that there will be obviously a winner and a loser, but whoever loses, I think they'll both be figuring in the semi-finals. So number 3 and 4 is where the others are chasing now, So, Pakistan definitely, Bangladesh, still got a bit of a chance.
Yeah.
Netherlands, Sri Lanka, England is the real disappointment for them, disappointment for their fans. Afghanistan, I don't think can, but perhaps Pakistan will put pressure. Bangladesh could put pressure as well.
Yeah. Pakistan still have 2 wins to Bangladesh's only one so far. Okay, if we can just look at South Africa's next 5 fixtures, so we know how precariously, if at all, they are placed in the tournament up ahead. If you can just pull up the next 5 fixtures for South Africa, if I'm not mistaken, the next team that they play, I will just pull that up for you.
They're not easy ones.
Yeah. So they play Bangladesh, Mumbai, Pakistan in Chennai, October 27th, New Zealand in Pune, November 1st, versus India in Kolkata, November 5th. That should be a good one. Versus Afghanistan on November 10th in Ahmedabad. Definitely 2 heavyweights here, New Zealand, India.
Yep.
Tough task there.
They're the hardest ones.
The hardest ones. With Pakistan, you never know. The mercurial side, as they're known to be.
Yeah.
Actually, even with Afghanistan, even they can cause an upset, as we've seen.
At Ahmedabad.
Yeah. But at least 2 tough matches for them lined up ahead.
Yeah, they've won 3, right? So we feel they've got to win another 3. You'd think Bangladesh. You'd think Afghanistan. Then they've got to win 1 out of those, Pakistan, New Zealand, India. They're all going to be a little harder.
Yeah.
But you'd rather fancy that they'll do that. So maybe South Africa might be in that semi-final spot. Wow, great.
Like we discussed yesterday, Pakistan also have at least 2 tough fixtures going up ahead. So for that 4th spot, Dav, which is very curiously poised right now, unless these guys really, kind of come into their form and
respond a bit.
Respond a bit. Do you really see them coming into the 4th spot, or do we say that South Africa is more or less settled in the top 4?
Well, it'll be a big challenge for Pakistan, haven't they? They lost badly.
They could be displacing Australia, actually, if at all.
Yeah, they lost badly against their arch rival, India.
Yeah.
And then they lost again the next game against Australia. It's now time for them to really dig deep and just turn that around if they can do that. Anything's possible, but it's going to take a lot more work now because they've lost 2 in a row.
Yeah. So for that 4th spot, in layman's terms, the road ahead is more difficult for Pakistan than it is for Australia.
Australia got a couple of more easier games.
Easier ones. So they still have a chance to retain their spot in the top 4. So the one team that you see getting displaced is perhaps, which one is it?
Pakistan.
Pakistan, okay.
Well, they're not in the 4 now, are they? But they're on equal points.
Yes.
But all I can say is that, with
the top 4 stays the way it is.
Each match that comes and goes now becomes a little bit more interesting and defining.
Yeah, defining.
We're beginning to feel more confident in projecting who's going to be in that 4th and 3rd spot.
Yeah, but I think the guess game is more interesting right now at this point in the tournament.
The guessing...
The guessing game is actually more fun because the closer we get towards the business end of it, we pretty much know which way it's headed. Sure, it's a game of cricket. We don't always really know, but then we more or less do. It's not as much fun to guess things as it is right now.
Yeah.
Okay, let's look at the next 5 fixtures for England and just let's look at the road ahead possibly for them. They play Sri Lanka India, Australia, Netherlands and Pakistan. What are their chances of redemption to make it in the top four?
The India and Australia game is going to be very tough, I feel. I think they can bounce back in their next match in Mumbai. They're going to stay there. They'll be a little bit more clued up on the conditions. It was a fresh pitch, and I think they'll get another fresh one on their next match. India and Australia is going to be a toughie in Lucknow and Ahmedabad. But I think they'll be very confident with Netherlands and Pakistan. But who knows, if they lose both to India and Australia, their morale is going to be, dropped, and nothing to lose now. We'll just play the reserves or whatever, So it will depend on their results, in the next 2 or 3 games as to, how they're going to approach the last couple of games.
Technically, on paper, just to get the calculation right, they still have a chance to make it to top 4.
Yeah, there's, 5 games left, and they have to win just about the one game, right?
And others have to do badly.
They have to win them all.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. All right, let's take a few comments, Tav, that we've been getting for you. Quite a few, actually. Raman asks, in similar vein of thought, will England make the semi-finals after this embarrassing defeat?
Difficult, Isha. Very difficult for them to make it now. They have to win pretty much all their fixtures, and they've got some difficult ones coming up.
Yeah.
So that person writing in, I'd love to say, yeah, but I'm not sure now.
Okay. Akshat asks, has overconfidence cost England a lot in the World Cup, as they were favourites to win? Would you really call it overconfidence?
I don't know if it's overconfident, but when you look around, if I'm a member of that team, I look around my friends who are in that team. They're all good players, so you can fall into a little bit of a trap, thinking, how can we lose with all these people here? But that only happens, and you lose if you leave it to the next person and leave it because he's good. If I fail, no worries, he can do it. He feels similarly with another player, and it doesn't work. You've got to take responsibility right from the top.
But do you think that's what's happening there?
Could be.
It's about passing the buck a little bit.
It's happened before. Yeah, you tend to not be. Not take enough responsibility, take it for granted a little bit. They will never admit it, but, inside, that's a feeling that sometimes comes.
Okay, Kunal asks, is this the worst performance from England, as they have failed on all fronts with both the bat and the ball?
Yeah, they have.
We'll have our expert comment on that.
They have. They just haven't made enough runs, and they haven't taken enough wickets. They have some big names, big reputations, but in these conditions it just hasn't worked for them. So yeah, they flatter to deceive a bit at the moment. We're not saying that they're really bad players. In this series of games, they're struggling.
Okay. Gautam asks, where will South Africa finish considering their unpredictable form?
South Africa.
Is the form unpredictable? Gautam, is that what you need to ask? Well, where will South Africa finish considering their unpredictable form?
Well, they've lost one game badly, didn't they? So apart from that, they've done pretty well. I think their form is now restored. They've got over that horrible loss that they had against Netherlands. And as long as they don't play Netherlands again, I think they're going to be okay. And any team with orange, they're going to be like rabbit in the headlights,
Okay. Aditya asks, South Africa using 4 bowlers to win the match is the most unique moment in the World Cup.
Well, when you only bowl for 22 overs, I think it was.
22 overs.
You don't need much more than 4, do you? So, and they did a good job.
Forgot about the batsman, Aditya. The batsman posted that mammoth 367, 368 odd runs.
Yep.
Shamshul Raza says, chokers are in the line of being World Cup champions. Is that exactly a compliment? I'm not really sure.
From one game to the next, they've gone from one extreme to the other.
Yeah.
So,
Dav, how many times have we seen South Africa do this? Because over the course of various World Cup tournaments that we've had, there have been times where I've really liked the South African team heading towards the finals, and then eventually they just don't end up winning it.
Yeah, I know, but this could be different. You never know. But they did beat New Zealand, the table toppers, first game. England, sorry.
England.
New Zealand beat England. Yeah, first game. There was a replay of the final. Yeah, they're yet to play New Zealand, right? South Africa. So they've got a couple of more tests coming up.
Yeah.
Some decent examinations. And for that particular person's question, we'll know when that happens.
Absolutely.
Semi-finalists, yes, I think. They got a good chance for the semi. But the question was, or the comment, winning the cup.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, some suggestion for Team England from Vidhi, who says maybe England should reshuffle and open with Butler to set up the tempo like he does in T20 cricket and play a captain's knock.
Well, there's another change in it. You've had three players coming in. You want to change the batting order? Maybe you have to do it. Maybe they'll discuss that. I mean, he's a wicket-keeper batsman, and some of these games weather's really hot, and it's a very taxing thing to field for 50 overs and then put the pads on and go out and bat. But it has been done before, and with success. That's an option for them, definitely, because it's not working at the moment, is it? Bairstow and Milan.
Yeah. Okay, last word from our viewers. After that, we will wrap up this edition of WION World of Cricket. Yash asks, what does it do for the morale of England as they take on India?
Nothing. It does nothing to help them,
Say, Dav, you're their coach. What would you be telling them from here on? Keeping the trophy in mind, what would you be telling them from here on?
Well, I wouldn't worry about the trophy in mind. I'd be worrying just about the next game, just to ensure that, they're in some sort of positive frame of mind. I'd certainly be using Ben Stokes again to help in that area. And to totally prepare as well as you can, and that doesn't mean naughty boy nets. Often teams will go in the nets because you had a bad loss. It doesn't always fix it. What fixes is being in the right frame of mind and being in a confident mood. So whatever can be done to allow you to do that is what I think should be done, and it doesn't have to be a physical get in the nets for 4 hours or whatever, bloody hell. Some will need it, and most won't.
All right, Dav, thanks a lot on that note. 4 games down for all the 10 participants of the ICC ODI Cricket World Cup. The tournament is extremely curiously and interestingly poised from here on. Stay tuned with us on WION World of Cricket as we get you all the updates.